When 12-year-old Mari Chen started selling cupcakes outside her family's small Cleveland restaurant, she had no idea her grandmother's secret recipe would catch the attention of a former president. All she knew was that her little brother Phoenix needed a $150,000 heart surgery their parents couldn't afford, and she was running out of time. Armed with nothing but an old recipe box and determination, Mari set out to save her brother's life, one cupcake at a time. But when a mysterious man in a hoodie bought her entire supply one dark evening, everything changed. Sometimes miracles come with sprinkles on top. Mari's alarm buzzed at exactly 5:30 a.m., but she was already awake. The smell of fresh bread from her parents' restaurant downstairs always snuck through the air vents before sunrise. She loved that smell. It meant another day of possibilities was starting. "Phoenix," she whispered, tiptoeing to her brother's bed across their shared room. "Wake up, I'm trying out a new pancake recipe today." Her 8-year-old brother groaned but smiled without opening his eyes. "Is it going to be weird like yesterday's green tea pancakes?" "Hey, Grandma Chen always said green tea makes everything better." Mari poked his side gently. "Besides, you ate 3 of them." Phoenix finally opened his eyes, revealing the same warm brown color as Mari's. "People always said they looked like twins despite their 4-year age difference." "Only because I didn't want to hurt your feelings." Mari helped Phoenix sit up slowly, pretending not to notice how much effort it took him these days. His heart condition meant every morning was a little harder than the last, but they never talked about it. Instead, they had their special routine. Downstairs in their family's small restaurant kitchen, Mari pulled out her grandmother's old mixing bowls while Phoenix settled into his usual spot at the prep counter. The morning sun was just starting to peek through the windows, casting long shadows across the industrial-sized ovens and stainless steel workspace. "Today's special ingredient is," Mari paused for dramatic effect, pulling something from behind her back, "cinnamon toast crunch." Phoenix's eyes lit up. "You're going to put cereal in pancakes?" "Crushed up." Grandma always said the secret to making people happy is giving them something familiar in a surprising way. Mari started measuring flour into a bowl. "And you know what else? I heard Dad say we might get to visit the new Civic Center next month. They're doing special tours for kids from local schools." Phoenix's smile got even bigger. Politics was his everything. Even though he couldn't play sports anymore, he knew every fact about American government and watched every news program. His room was covered in posters, especially of Barack Obama. That's when it happened. Phoenix reached for the glass of water Mari had set out for him, but his hands started shaking. The glass slipped, shattering on the floor. Mari looked up just in time to see her brother's eyes roll back. "Mom! Dad!" Mari screamed, running to catch Phoenix as he slumped forward. "Help!" Everything after that seemed to move in slow motion. Their parents rushing in from the front of the restaurant, Dad carrying Phoenix to the car, Mom calling 911 while running alongside them, the emergency room doctors taking Phoenix away on a rolling bed, leaving Mari and her parents in the waiting room. Hours passed like years. Mari's legs went numb from sitting in the hard plastic chair, but she didn't move. She kept her eyes fixed on the double doors where they had taken Phoenix, waiting for someone to tell them everything would be okay. Finally, a doctor came out. Mari had never seen her parents look so scared as when they followed him to a private room. She wasn't supposed to follow, but she did anyway, standing just outside the door. "His condition has progressed faster than we expected," the doctor was saying. "There's a new procedure that could help, but it's still experimental. Insurance won't cover it." "How much?" Her father's voice was barely a whisper. "The total cost would be $150,000. Mari heard her mother gasp. She knew that was more money than their restaurant made in a whole year. "How long do we have to decide?" her father asked. "Given the rate of deterioration, 3 months, maybe 4. After that, the procedure would be too risky." Mari slid down the wall outside the room, her mind racing. She had never heard her parents cry before, but she could hear them now. Their family had come to America from China when she was just a baby, bringing only Grandma Chen's recipes and big dreams. The restaurant was everything they had worked for. Later that night, after they brought Phoenix home, Mari lay awake in bed. Through the thin walls, she could hear her parents talking in their room. "We could sell the restaurant," her father said. "The restaurant is barely worth half that much," her mother replied, voice shaking. "Even if we sold everything." Mari turned to look at Phoenix sleeping in his bed across the room, his breathing more labored than usual. The moonlight made his face look pale, almost like the porcelain dolls their grandmother used to collect. That's when Mari remembered something Grandma Chen used to say: one grain of rice can tip the scale. One person can make the difference. Mari sat up in bed, determination replacing her fear. She might only be 12, but she was still one person, and she was going to make a difference. She just needed to figure out how. Looking at her brother's peaceful face, Mari made a silent promise. She would find a way to get the money. She had to, because mornings without pancakes and Phoenix's smile wouldn't be mornings worth waking up for. Outside their window, the city of Cleveland was quiet except for the distant sound of trains and late-night traffic. Somewhere out there, Mari thought, there had to be an answer. She just had to be brave enough to find it. Mari woke up the next morning with her face pressed against her math notebook. She must have fallen asleep doing calculations. The page was covered in wobbly numbers and crossed-out equations, all trying to figure out how to reach $150,000. Yard sale, she muttered, reading her late-night ideas. No, even if we sold everything we own. Her eyes landed on the last thing she'd written: ask Grandma for help. Something tugged at her memory. Grandma Chen had always said, when you need answers, look up. Mari had always thought she meant look up to heaven, but now she found herself staring at the ceiling of her room, specifically at the small hatch that led to the attic. After making sure Phoenix was still sleeping soundly, Mari dragged her desk chair beneath the hatch. Standing on tiptoes, she managed to push it open and pull down the folding ladder. The attic was hot and dusty, filled with boxes labeled in her grandmother's elegant Chinese handwriting. Mari switched on her phone's flashlight and began searching. There had to be something up here that could help. In the furthest corner, behind an old rice cooker and some faded curtains, she found what she didn't even know she was looking for: Grandma Chen's recipe box. The red lacquered wood was still glossy, decorated with hand-painted peonies. Mari's hands trembled as she opened it. Inside were hundreds of index cards, each covered in her grandmother's neat writing. Some were in Chinese, others in English, and many were stained with soy sauce or butter. But one card was different from the rest. It was in a sealed envelope marked "For My Greatest Legacy." Mari carefully opened the envelope. Inside was a single recipe card and a small newspaper clipping from 1992. The headline read, "Local baker wins county fair for 30th consecutive year with mystery cupcake." The photo showed a younger version of her grandmother holding up a trophy, surrounded by people trying to get a taste of her famous cupcakes. The article mentioned that people would line up for hours just to buy a box, paying whatever price she asked. That's it, Mari whispered excitedly. Her eyes darted to the recipe card. At the top, in both Chinese and English, was written, "Heaven's Cloud Cupcake brings our family fortune." Mari began selling her cupcakes outside the family restaurant. The first days were slow, but after a local food blogger discovered them, business picked up. Still, it wasn't enough. Even as her story spread through the local news, calling her Cleveland's youngest entrepreneur with the biggest heart, the money came in too slowly. Phoenix was getting weaker by the day. Just when things looked most bleak, Mari received a cease and desist letter from the health department. Without proper licenses, she couldn't sell her cupcakes. Standing on the street with a red closure notice on her table, Mari felt defeated. That's when Chef Marcus and the Cleveland Kitchen Collective stepped in, offering their licensed kitchens and expertise. They rallied around Mari and Phoenix, creating a network of support that allowed her to continue baking legally. A donation page was set up, but even with growing community support, they were far from their goal. One evening, as Mari stood outside the hospital where Phoenix now stayed permanently, a tall figure in a dark hoodie approached her stand. "Are these the famous cupcakes everyone's talking about?" His voice was deep but gentle, partially muffled by his hood. "Yes," Mari said, fighting back a yawn. "They're my grandmother's recipe. Would you like one?" The man studied the display case. "How many do you have left?" 32, Mari counted quickly. "I always make extra for the night shift nurses. I'll take them all." He pulled out a wallet. Mari blinked in surprise. "All of them? But what about the nurses? Add their usual order to my bill." He handed her several $100 bills. "And keep the change." As she boxed up the cupcakes, Mari noticed his hands. They were elegant but strong, with long fingers that looked like they might belong to a pianist or writer. Before she could get a better look at his face, he had already picked up his boxes and turned away. "Wait," she called after him. What's your name? He paused but didn't turn around. Let's just say I know what it's like to have people believe in you when you need it most. Then he was gone, disappearing into the hospital darkness. The next morning, Mari was called urgently to the hospital. When she arrived at Phoenix's floor, she found a crowd of people outside his room, all staring at their phones. Mari! Look who had our cupcakes! Phoenix called from his bed, waving his tablet excitedly. He turned the screen toward her. There on Instagram was a photo of her cupcake boxes. The caption read, "Best cupcakes in Cleveland. Trust me, I know talent when I taste it. This young baker is trying to save her brother. Let's help her finish strong. Hashtag Cupcakes for Phoenix." The post was from Barack Obama. And it was going viral. Mari's phone started buzzing with notifications. The donation page numbers were jumping by hundreds, then thousands of dollars. Orders were pouring in from across the country. But she barely noticed any of it because she had just remembered something about the mysterious man in the hoodie from last night, those elegant, distinctive hands. The next morning, there were news vans, cameras, and hundreds of people holding signs that read "Cupcakes for Phoenix" and "Cleveland supports Mari." The Cleveland Kitchen Collective had mobilized overnight, setting up a proper booth with banners and display cases. Inside the hospital, Mari found Phoenix watching the local news with their parents. Barack Obama's Instagram post about a young Cleveland baker has gone viral overnight, the reporter was saying. But the former president didn't stop there. This morning, he announced he'll personally match every donation made to Phoenix Chen's surgery fund for the next 24 hours. Mari's phone rang, unknown number. "Hello, this is Mari," she answered. "Mari, this is Michelle Obama." The voice was warm and friendly. "Barack told me about your cupcakes and your brother. We'd love to have you on Good Morning America tomorrow." The next day, appearing via satellite on national television, Mari was surprised when Barack Obama himself joined the broadcast, holding one of her cupcakes. "These are amazing," he said, "but what's more amazing is your heart, Mari. You remind me of so many Americans I've met doing whatever it takes to help your family. That's why I'm not just matching donations, I'm calling on all my friends to help." Within hours, politicians, celebrities, and ordinary citizens from across the country were sharing Obama's post, making their own donations, and ordering cupcakes to be delivered to children's hospitals in their cities. One more surprise, Obama said, "We're hosting a special community event next week. All proceeds will go to Phoenix's surgery fund, and I want you in Phoenix to be my special guests, if he's feeling up to it." Back at the hospital, the donation counter was spinning like a slot machine. Mari's mother called softly, holding up her tablet. The donation page showed $175,000, more than enough for Phoenix's surgery. Later that day, Barack Obama himself visited Phoenix's hospital room, bringing signed books and a special letter. As Phoenix chatted excitedly with the former president, Mari pulled out her phone one more time. "Day 53 of Operation Cupcake," she whispered into the camera, her voice shaking with joy. "Today we learned that miracles don't always look like what you expect. Sometimes they look like a community coming together. Sometimes they look like a man in a hoodie buying cupcakes in the dark. And sometimes," she turned the camera to show Obama teaching Phoenix about the Constitution, both of them laughing, "sometimes they look like everything you ever dreamed of, plus sprinkles on top." The extra money raised created the Phoenix Chen Foundation, helping other families afford life-saving surgeries for their children. The Cleveland Kitchen Collective continued making the special cupcakes, with a portion of all sales going to the foundation. Later, Obama pulled Mari aside. "The night I bought your cupcakes, I was visiting an old friend's daughter at the hospital, 12 years ago, when she needed surgery. I helped raise money for her anonymously. When I heard about you in Phoenix, about what you were doing with those cupcakes, I knew it was time to pay it forward openly. That first bite of your cupcake reminded me of something my grandmother used to make, not the taste exactly, but the feeling, like somebody cared enough to make something special even when times were hard. Food is love," Mari said, remembering her grandmother's words. "Exactly," Obama smiled. "And sometimes love is a girl selling cupcakes to save her brother. Sometimes it's a community coming together to help strangers. And sometimes it's just a person in a hoodie, doing what they can." That night back in Phoenix's hospital room, Mari made her final video diary entry. "Day 60 of Operation Cupcake," she said, panning around to show the signed books, cards, and gifts from around the world. Today we learned that sometimes the biggest miracles start with the smallest things, like a recipe card in an old red box, or a brother's smile, or a stranger's kindness. She turned the camera to Phoenix, who was sleeping peacefully, a signed copy of Obama's book clutched in his hand. But mostly we learned that love really is the secret ingredient. And thanks to everyone who believed in us, we'll never run out of that.